Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty okay.
Good. Thanks for making
Can't
time
complain.
today, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So I got to calm down because I was just trying to switch over my laundry. Like, I don't know why I respond. I respond negatively to like having deadlines, and so cool. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for jumping on the call. I know you probably have a question or two about what we're doing here, and the answer is like I'm
Yeah.
not exactly sure. I just I had the idea to I don't know, boot up a little interview series, while we kind of like wait over the course of the summer for for like good games to come out. I figured why not try my hand at some more kind of like conversation based like podcast kind of content.
That sounds good.
Cool. So here we go. Welcome to the conversation. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No problem.
The first question is this: what is the origin of your gamer handle, your Discord name, your handle? I
Oh,
see American Bernard here in Discord, but I know you as Newport. I'm not sure if you prefer to talk about one name in particular.
so in your community, I'm Newport because I changed my Steam profile name to Newport 100s as a joke. Um,
I see.
and uh, the first time I had really interacted with your community, I think the day I joined it, because I got a gifted subscription,
Uh,
I joined when we were doing the TF2 thing. And so when I was playing with you guys, I was Newport, but on the Discord I was American Bernard. So I was like, well, I'm just going to change it to Newport
I see.
on this server because that's how these people know me.
I see.
But I don't actually have a particularly big preference.
Uh-huh.
For the like actual Discord name itself, I'm American Bernard because a while I had just had my name, my first name is like my Discord username.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend who, as a joke, made a French Bernard, and I was like, oh, that's cute. I'll make mine American Bernard, and I made like my profile picture like an American flag and all that.
I
I
see.
got really into that, and it
Sure.
just I don't know. Ever since, it's always just kind of stuck with me.
Uh-huh. It's very charming. I think kudos to people that can leverage their actual name in like their internet persona. I think I'm envious, or like I think it's always nice when that can be the case.
Yeah, I don't think it's the most like natural roll off the tongue kind of name, but it's definitely I don't know, it's got something to it for sure.
Uh-huh. And what part of the world are you currently in?
The United States,
Uh-huh.
the Northeast.
Great. The Northeast that's great. That's a perfect amount of information. It's curious to get a bit of like the demographic info of the different people that we're including in the series. So that's nice. And if you are comfortable sharing, when were you born? In the 90s, the 2000s, and the 80s?
2000 on the dot.
On the dot, right?
Yeah.
Right at the stroke of Y2K.
Yeah, I didn't get to live through the glory of the 90s, and I barely remember the glory of the early 2000s. So I just got whatever this is.
Got it. And what do you do for work these days?
I work as a table games dealer at a casino.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
enjoying that tip based life.
Uh-huh. Can you my dad was he enjoyed casinos, and I think for the reason being because like he liked having relationships with people, like he liked recognizing the same people, and he said he was always like friends with the pit bosses, and just like, can you give me a quick summary of like what's the hierarchy there? Like I don't really know that much about
Sure.
like how the casino floor works, but do you report to a pit boss? Is that how it works?
So going from the bottom up, there are table games dealers. They're
Yeah.
kind of at the bottom. We are managed by not a pit boss. They're called floor supervisors.
Okay.
And they basically make sure that all the games are being run correctly. If I have an issue, I talk to them.
Yeah.
If a player is giving me problems, I talk to them.
Yeah.
They handle everything for me. And then the floor supervisors, are handled by floor managers who aren't assigned to any particular pit. They just walk around. They make sure that all the floor supervisors have what they need. And if
Sure.
there is a problem that a floor supervisor can't fix, the floor manager fixes it.
Uh-huh.
And then kind of the last step in the internal casino thing, outside of corporation, is the table games director. They kind of they're the guys who decide like we need 6 blackjack tables over here in this corner. We need to
Uh-huh.
make sure that the minimums are all correct. We need to make sure that this big player playing 10,000 a hand is not, doing something wrong or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, yeah,
Mm.
they come in like twice a week to make sure everything's correct, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't see them again. And from my perspective, so
Uh-huh. Who knows where they go in the interim, right? They just
right,
like
yeah, they have an office somewhere probably, but
uh-huh.
I definitely I don't get to talk to them much.
Is there any stress in the job being a dealer? Like, did you have to go through training? Like, are you worried that if you kind of make the wrong move, that like, is there any risk of like throwing anything that off?
Not so. It's kind of hard to screw up like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little that I can do that would be like a true you're fired moment.
Like a big gaff.
Yeah, like basically attendance or sexual harassment are like the only two things I've ever seen anyone get fired for in this job.
Right.
Um, but they in training, they're very adamant. They're like, look, if you screw up, it's no big deal. We can fix it. You just have to tell your floor and you have to be
Mm.
upfront about it. And
Mm-hmm.
they are very I've never had a floor who's like, "Oh my God, how can you be this stupid to do this thing?" It's
Mm-hmm.
always very like, "Oh, okay. Here's how we fix this." And then it's no big deal at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I
Yeah.
in my head I can imagine being stressed that if I did something in the wrong sequence or if I like tipped a card I shouldn't have or whatever, then I'm gonna get in trouble.
There's definitely like the human amount of anxiety surrounding doing your job wrong. Yeah, but
Right.
I wouldn't say it's like a I wouldn't say that the reaction that your internal monkey brain is going, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get fired." Oh no. No, that doesn't
Gonna be
nothing
drawn and
like that ever
quartered. Yeah, they're
happens.
gonna cut off my head. Yeah, it's probably not like that. Cool. Um, Back to games. Could you? Well, I say back to games. I don't think we've even talked about games yet. In terms of video games, can you list your top one or two types of games that you love to play?
It fluctuates a little bit.
Hmm.
But RPGs are kind of like the thing I always end up coming back to.
Sure.
I'd say if you count Dark and Darker as an RPG, I'd say two of my biggest games this year have both been RPGs.
Uh huh.
And the other category, I guess, would be like action games, usually
Huh.
like Elden Ring, which I guess you could call an RPG too, but I like, that one you can win by pure skill alone. The
Uh huh.
stats might not matter if
Uh
you're
huh.
good enough at it. So, yeah, games like that for sure.
So are you saying that like an RPG? What makes an RPG is it's mostly stat driven rather than kind of like skill driven?
Yeah, like the stats are kind of the deciding factor. In theory, like there's plenty of RPGs where if you do the right thing every time,
Yeah.
then you can win. But I'd say that the primary drive for the kind of games I end up playing are usually like you win by having more levels and higher stats, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Mm-hmm. And I guess despite its the veneer of Dark and Darker being kind of like an action game, like an action combat game, it has really been dominated by stats, right, the whole time.
It wants to be an action game so bad. I think SDF wants it to be like a skill-based action game, but also maybe if you have better stats, you maybe win.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
even if your skill opponent outskills you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if he outskills you a lot, he wants you to lose, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I've always thought of Dark and Darker as a stat game. It's a numbers game.
It is, yeah, it is. That can be adjusted on the margins by how you play the class or how you play your character.
Yeah.
But there's some situations where you just can't avoid taking damage really, and it comes down to like how much health do you have, how much damage do you do, how fast do you swing, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Interesting. Do you have a favorite time of day or night to play video games?
I thought that was just going to be the whole question. Do you have a favorite time of day or night?
Period. Yeah.
Um, to play games. I mean, I guess not really. I get off work and then I play games
Uh-huh.
usually.
Uh-huh.
And there's something nice about playing games in the morning too, where like right before work, I'm I can sit down and do like, I don't know, 2 or 3 rounds of Marvel Rivals or Dark
Sure.
and Darker or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a special appeal to that. But I always get to work and I'm like, man, I should have just eaten breakfast or
I
something
know.
instead.
I've never been the kind of person that could do anything meaningful before work. Like, I've always been envious of people that can like read or like exercise or eat or clean out. I just, for me, like, there's always been this. I mean, not to get too whatever, like sad sack, but there's always a bit of like melancholy. Right? Like, I could never motivate myself to do anything material. My whole life started after work, and I would always just try to sleep like right until like the moment where I could not like sleep any longer, and then I would just go to work, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Different strokes, different folks. How many games do you think that you purchased in the past 12 months?
How many games have I purchased?
Uh-huh.
I could probably go to Steam and actually give you a straight answer on that.
Hmm.
I will guess in the meantime. I would probably say that I probably buy about 15 games a year on
Mm-hmm.
average,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Yeah, we're the same, I think. It seems to be a bit par for the course for the different people I've spoken to.
When I first got a job and started getting paychecks, I probably bought games at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
Like if I go back to 2020, I bought, this is an obscene amount of games. Okay. Yeah, no, that's when that happened. Before that, 2018, 2019, 2020, I was buying them like crazy. Now I don't really buy them that much. So I'm
Yeah.
probably about,
Maybe one game a month. You know, maybe there's a couple of busy months in there.
yeah, like I get nostalgic and go and buy like some game that got a re-release or something. Then
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Of course, not every game release is created equal. Like some games are like $6 and some games are $60. You know, like it's. How do you feel about PvP in games? I know it's not for everyone, but this is a question I'm curious to learn more about.
That's such a great question. I love that question. I want to say I'm pretty. I like it. I like it if it's not 100% of the focus. If it's something that happens in the natural course of things, I'm cool with it. But if it feels like that's all I'm doing, I don't really get into the game that much. I know I mentioned Marvel Rivals earlier, but I kind of only play that to try to connect better with my boyfriend because he loves that game so much.
Yeah.
So I play it a bit, try to get as good as him. So if we play a game together, I don't feel like I'm dragging him down. But otherwise, PvP games like aren't really my thing that much.
Huh. Uh-huh. I guess, yeah, the RPG and action games that you mentioned, those don't have to be PvP focused, right? Like you can play Elden Ring. Elden Ring was just, for the longest time, just like a single player game, was it not?
No, so Elden Ring did have like some PvP features, but you really had to go out of your way to activate it.
Uh-huh.
Like it was a very intentional thing. In previous games, like Dark Souls, you could get the humanity, and that would let you summon your friends. But if you activated that, then people could invade you, and then it would kind of feel like a PvP game with some of them. Because I remember many times just like getting randomly invaded when I didn't even remember that I had put on the Ember or Humanity or whatever it was that activated it in that game. But no, I like it when it's a feature, but not the game, I guess.
So what then supersedes, if you're not getting like the majority of your satisfaction from gaming from competing against other people, what takes that kind of like top slot of like what satisfies you the most from different gaming experiences then?
I think story. I think story above all else. If I feel like I'm being really drawn in and I'm not thinking about like the outside world at all, and I'm just thinking about what's going on in the game, because of its story, that tops everything easily for me. It's kind of part of why I always got into role play games in particular, especially games where you are encouraged to kind of play a character rather than just, select whatever dialogue gets the thing moving. I love it when there are options to express your character into the world and then you get a response from it, which would be a good way to tie into like big gaming moments. But I don't want to go on a tirade yet.
No, go for it. I was gonna ask, like, if story and that kind of experience is so central to like what makes a game satisfying or interesting for you, can you remember like some of the best storylines that you've interacted with over the past bit?
I can. It kind of requires a bit of an explanation, so feel free to
No,
be
let's do
like,
it.
this is taking too long. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a game that I've kind of like tried to plug on our Discord at least once or twice.
Mhm.
Neverwinter Nights, which is
Yes.
this. It is a D&D simulator,
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons, as close to that as you can possibly get, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It has servers that all kind of do their own different thing.
Mm.
One server is Aerolith. They have their they're kind of more like an MMO sort of thing, but they still want you to role play. They want it to be about role playing your character.
Mm.
There are there are a handful of like little action servers that are very action oriented.
Okay.
And then the server that I'm going to bring this big moment from is it is called EFU. It used to be for Escape from the Underdark.
Okay.
But now it's kind of like they've evolved past that. It's been 20 years since the server, or not 20 years. Yeah, about 20 years since the
Yeah.
server started.
Yeah.
And they have escaped from the Underdark. So now it's just EFU. And in the last like 2 years, 3 years, they've been doing this big storyline. Everyone's in this like kind of desert city, and they've been at war with this like orc king. He's called Iacmes, and Iacmes has been, tearing up the wasteland around the area just to try to get at Effie as well, which is the city. And they developed this like system for raids where basically you need at least 10 people, 10 characters to all get together, put in like this big investment in supplies to be able to go to these really well curated, wonderful experiences where you have to fight this like basically army of orcs.
Wow.
And I have a video saved from it. I can try to pull it. It's in a bad quality because YouTube compressed the hell out of it, and I don't even know if I have the original version anymore. And I had to cut out a big part of it because these took like an hour to do minimum. I can pull that up later, but it was so engaging. To be a part of these raids, to have my character be contributing a lot of supplies to be able to make this possible, to role playing with the other people that are also trying to make this happen, and getting to kind of see the end result of this giant raid that ends up feeling like it's life or death in that world. So that there were a couple of those, and it always, every time I got to go on one of those, it was the most engaged I had ever been with the game. And I've been playing this game since I was like 5.
Yeah.
So it's always, I've always wanted something like that, and it's the closest it's ever gotten to perfect for that particular idea.
Wow. Yeah, awesome. Let me recap this. So Neverwinter Nights, yes, is like a D&D sim. I had some experience with it a long time ago. It wasn't very good. I don't think I was really old enough to appreciate like what it was. I tried to lump it into like some kind of like Diablo-like experience, but it really is so much more than that, right? It really is like a foundation or a platform for like role-playing, for like character development and role-playing. So you're saying that there's these Neverwinter Nights servers, and one of which is kind of adminned to encourage like a bunch of story development, and there's been like a history with the server, but they've kind of ended up like the current state of the narrative is there's this like desert city and everyone's there, and there's this orc king that lives outside the city, and the players of the game kind of come together in these 10-person raiding parties, and there's a very high cost of admission, like for your supplies and your prep and all that. And then is it like the server admins that have kind of like curated these raids? Like have they like made maps, or have they kind of like picked?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they made like maps especially for this.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And they're super challenging, and there's like just hundreds of these like orc enemies, and you have to work together. Yeah, I've never I missed the boat on a lot of that kind of like raid party MMO like guild, or just kind of collective action Like it's only in the last year or so since having this Discord community have I experienced something approaching that, and still, every time I do something like that, we go to kill Wyvern together, or we do like a big V Rising boss raid or something. People are like, this is kind of what it was like doing raid, like boss raids in WoW, or like, I get an idea of what it's like, but I still think that I haven't quite hit those high notes, and that sounds like what you're describing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
That age it feels like it's kind of moving on. It's more for like curated 2 or 3 person experiences these days. Nothing wrong with that, and I get why they don't do it. It's hard to schedule all of that.
Yeah. Were you online kind of during the naissance of World of Warcraft, like 2007-ish?
I was online, but I was like, I didn't really look much at World of Warcraft. I think I tried it once and didn't get it, and kind of ended up moving on before I could really get anywhere like that. Right.
Oh, of course. And like, I have to recalibrate. I have a bad habit of assuming everyone is as old as I am, and so 2007. If you were born in the year 2000, I don't think that like guild raids were really something on the table for you at that point.
No. The closest thing I got was like in 2011. I started trying to do Mountain Blade Napoleonic Wars regiments. That was like the closest I ever got to anything like that before like 2015.
Yeah.
When I started being able to really appreciate that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I've got a bit of a lightning round. Do you want to go through the lightning round really quick? For these questions, don't feel obligated to go any deeper than you want to. It's just kind of like meant to be just some rapid fire questions for you. What's your favorite thing to drink?
That's a question. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, nice. What was the first PC that you or your family had?
I have no idea. It was old. It was maybe a laptop. I don't remember.
Was it kind of like a shared system, or?
Yeah, it was my dad's.
If you had to identify yourself as a PlayStation kid or an Xbox kid, what would it be?
PlayStation, easily.
Easily PlayStation. What's the one candy or snack that you have to buy from the convenience store if you walk into one?
Mounds.
Mounds. Are they like a chocolate drop kind of thing?
Oh, they're coconut wrapped in chocolate.
Ooh, like a Bounty. That is what we have here in Ontario. Whatever.
I think so.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. I dig it.
You might know Almond Joy. Almond Joy. It's that, but without the almond.
Okay, I know of it, but I don't think it's been a minute. But if I know what you mean. Coconut and chocolate. Very nice. Can you cook? And if so, do you have like a specialty dish?
I can. I hate it though. If I'm sitting at home and I have nothing else that I like really want to jump to, it's ramen.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I try to do stuff with it to make it not just
try to zhuzh it up a little bit.
A bunch of water and salt and noodles. Yeah.
Do you ever put in like a hard-boiled egg? You ever put any egg in the ramen?
No, actually, I haven't. I want to though.
How do you feel about eggs? Are you okay with eggs?
I like eggs. I don't. That is really just one of the only things I haven't gotten to yet.
Cool. What's the longest gaming session you think you've ever had? Like butt in chair gaming session?
I'm gonna go ahead and say 12 hours is probably like the most, maybe 13. And that was like that had to have been for something special, but I can't think off the top of my head what would have been that important. But I definitely probably did something like that.
How long would those raids, those Neverwinter Nights, like orc raids take, the 10 people raids, roughly?
So from like the moment you log in to the moment you log out, it's probably about 3 hours. But that's including like everyone wants to kind of like, I mean, it's a roleplay server, so you have to kind of talk about things that are going on in the world first, and then and then we're like, oh well, we need to kind of hype ourselves, going to give a speech, and then they do, and and then we have to divvy up all the supplies when we're done after the raid is over. So like that all takes probably about 3 hours.
There's a bit of pomp and circumstance, is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that's what makes good RP, right? That's what you're there for, kind of.
Yes,
How many hours on average would you say you sleep a night?
7.
7.
Sometimes maybe like 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'd start to kind of crash if I do only 5, but if more than 5, I'm okay.
Yeah. Good. Good lightning round. You made it through. Congratulations. GG. Two last questions for you, and then I'll let you go. You've been very kind with your time. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Right now, there are lots of games in early access. It seems more than ever these days. And from my perspective, early access seems to be kind of like a necessary evil or par for the course these days. I mean, I shouldn't set it up with so much bias, but what are your thoughts on early access games?
I think it's killing games,
Hmm.
honestly. I think it has been overall. There have been good things that have come from, I think Stardew Valley was an early access game, I think, but
Hmm.
don't quote me on that.
Hmm.
There have been good games that have come out of it, but I think the games that are coming out of it now, it's just an excuse to just continue putting out little bits of content on an unfinished product.
Hmm.
I mean, with Dark and Darker, I think if Dark and Darker had waited an extra year, 2 years maybe, where they're
Hmm.
not distracted by the constant balance changes, not people, you don't have people begging, oh my God, please let me get solos, let me
Yeah.
get,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they get solos and then they get, a class that's really powerful and solos. Guys, please nerf Barbarian or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And they have spent so much time on that because their game is early access, open to the public, that they don't have the time to actually develop the game itself.
Yes.
Um, and I've seen that happen across several games at this point,
Hmm.
where they go out in early access, people play it, they keep asking for things that the developers might not have inside their vision, and
Hmm.
end up getting distracted by it.
Hmm.
Um, it's also an excuse to just never actually release the game.
Yes.
Um,
Alan Tarkov, just like, I mean, I guess Tarkov is going to release maybe in August or something. I don't know. Haven't been following it, but it's been in beta. It's been in early access for, I don't know, many, many, many years, right?
yeah, Star Citizen
Uh-huh.
is never coming out. It's not.
Uh-huh. So maybe if I follow your line of thinking, do you think that most game studios could get the benefit that they need from a bit of like player feedback or a bit of like stress testing systems through closed alphas or through closed playtests? Like, and that's kind of as development requires. And if you're saying that maybe if the developer stayed in more of that mode and kept things more behind closed doors, then more games would be successful.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could see more games coming out that would, have a higher level of polish, following the original vision
Yeah,
that the developer want, as far as we know, anyway.
yeah,
Um, while also having some polish that would not have come if they did not have people looking at it, toying with it,
yes,
making sure that it's, a fun experience.
yeah, yeah. It really has felt like the past 18 months for Dark and Darker has been one big babysitting campaign, right? Now that you say it like that, like I really see it.
Yeah, no, it's been so they've been so distracted trying to make everybody happy
Yeah.
that they have now ended up making everybody upset because they've spent too much time making everyone happy.
Dang.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, last question for you. Is there any specific kind of game you hope comes out in the next 2 years? Like, what's your dream game to play? Or if you could imagine one amazingly ideal game that was to come out, what would it be?
Seltzer Run chapter 5, 6, 7. There you go. That's
Sure.
no. I want something like Dark and Darker that is a first person kind of like combat experience where the combat is the thing that you're playing it for, but it's also for looting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not about the PvP. And PvE Dark and Darker is not it. Before we could say that, it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same.
Mm-hmm.
The game's too, I don't know, too PvP focused, and every part of it's designed for that game to quite feel like what I want.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking for a first person kind of like medieval fantasy themed looter game that has a bit more of a priority put on PvE and adventure and story.
Yes.
That has PvP on the periphery, maybe, but
I could see some PvP in it, yeah. But if I wouldn't want them to balance things around it.
Yeah, there really is no kind of like first-person fantasy medieval looter adventure like PvE game, is there?
Skyrim is like close, but it's not. It's not what I want either. I don't know. Something the combat's too basic.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, thanks, Newport. I'm gonna keep calling you. Can I keep calling you Newport? That's how I know it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard for me to rewrite my brain.
No, that's the point.
Yeah,
that's the point of the name.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing a bit more about yourself. It's very nice to get to know you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll call it there. Thanks again. See you around.
All right. See ya.